The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for the 6th of January 2016 open up with gold at $1,093.40 an ounce, silver $13.99 an ounce, Texas crude $35.97 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently at 431 U.S. currency. Today in history, Monday, January 6, 1958, Gibson patents its Flying V guitar, an electric guitar model with a radical futuristic V-body design. In recent news, here at the Lone Star Lowdown, we pride ourselves in bringing you the headlines of the day without the hype and media bias. As a result, we are always having to correct the narrative. So to cut to the chase, we are sorry for reporting some falsehoods yesterday. The Bundy situation in Oregon is not a standoff or occupation. According to the Citizens for Constitutional Freedom press conference, they are simply reclaiming the federal wildlife refuge for the state of Oregon and its citizenry, specifically all the ranchers that have had to give up lands to the BLM. Dwight Heyman and his son, Stephen, are facing terrorism charges and resentencing. The point of the land burns, which eventually spread from their land to federal lands, was for ranching purposes and not agricultural reasons. We are sorry for the incorrect reporting of the other day. Regardless of who drops the ball, the media, or even ourselves, we're always here to correct and clarify. The TransCanada Corporation has filed a lawsuit in a U.S. federal court in Houston, Texas, stating that President Barack Obama's ban on the Keystone Pipeline supersedes his legitimate powers within the Constitution. Through a NAFTA claim, TransCanada is seeking to receive compensation for more than $15 billion in the expenditures and damages it has accumulated as a result of the permit ban. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency today, ordering California state agencies to move as rapidly as possible in fixing a gas leak which has been spewing 110,000 pounds of natural gas per hour since October of last year. This declaration comes after previous attempts to plug the leak of methane have failed. He stated that, quote, 7 state agencies are mobilized to protect public health, oversee Southern California's gas companies' actions to stop the leak, track methane emissions, ensure worker safety, safeguard energy reliability, and address any other problems stemming from the leak. The Lone Star Lowdown is currently looking to fill some advertisement slots. So you have a product or a service you'd like to advertise with us, feel free to give us a call at 210-363-2257. This has been your Lowdown for January 6, 2016.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war. I'll be very blunt in my assessment.
Is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
True. Radio.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. It is January 6, 2016.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Is it official now?
It is official now. I don't know, I guess.
According to the Gregorian standard of things? According to that, yes.
Already. I'm one of your hosts, Cuddy Rowe right here.
Marshall Soul. Rick Rohde. Hanging out, ladies and gentlemen. Do appreciate you guys listening in. We are live. Always live every Wednesday, you guys know, 6 to 8 p.m. Do enjoy you guys coming along for the ride. Do hope you have had a wonderful holy day, holiday, Saturnalia season, New Year's, Westernized festivities. But we're back to it, back to the grind. You know how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. We all got to work to survive. It isn't a utopia.
I don't want
to. Not yet. Jesus ain't back yet. So definitely appreciate you guys coming along. Hopefully you have a great day at work. Hopefully we're all catching up with business that needs to be done. And we definitely have some catching up to do.
Definitely.
Because we have been breaking down quite a bunch of information. We got quite a bunch of information lined up for the show today. We're going to talk a little bit about current events, what's been happening. Of course, we all know about the Oregon situation.
Definitely. Things, the pot is heating up.
We know about the executive orders here on the gun grab.
Perfect timing.
As if they even apply.
I'm sorry. Gun grab may have been an overstatement. Gun tracking, GPS tracking. Yeah.
Let's fingerprint and track and trace them.
Yeah, just like Fast and Furious.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And we do have, of course, the crucial information. It's old information, but it may be new to you, so it still may be considered news. The old information of having to do with the Zionist movement. What is Zionism? What are the biblical foundations for it? What's the historical context of it? What does it stand for, and where's it going?
And it's a really good time, to talk about it, considering all the events that have been taking place as of late. So,
yeah, it's good to know a little bit of geopolitical history and terms and usage and all that, just to get a better perspective of what's taking place, who the key players are nowadays.
Definitely. And as always, we'll have lines open, so definitely feel free to call in if you want to interject. 512-646-1984. But before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, do want to encourage you guys to check out the LogosRadioNetwork.com website and check out the great sponsors that we have on this website, hosting and helping out the network, helping us out. I mean, check out the Non-GMO Solutions, great storable food, no additives, no preservatives, no GMOs, and it lasts a long time.
Yep. And I'm sure up in Oregon, I hope they got some storable food.
They should have taken some of that.
They should have
taken plenty of that. But you can always get some from off the Logos sponsors here, and then send them out there if you choose to.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we know the holidays are over with, but we never seem to stop shopping. So,
and I'm sure y'all got some gift cards or something.
Right. So yeah, if you're gonna shop on Amazon, be sure to refresh your cookies for every purchase and every basket rather. And definitely helps out the network. Got the Global Healing Center, great. What would you call them? Like nutritional supplements that are definitely helpful for the body.
Yeah, a lot of detoxing agents, you could say. Stuff your intestines and your thyroid and all kinds of good stuff.
A lot of cleaners, nice. Yeah.
Definitely. A lot of really, I would say some of the best new products out. I mean, Dr. Group's amazing. So yeah, definitely check out the Global Healing Center. And we've got the Gold Savings Club. You can get some Carrot Bar currency, which is good to have when the money is worthless. Might as well get something. Hedge against inflation.
Somebody always will want that silver and gold.
Definitely.
With the interest rates, going up. Yeah, definitely might have some inflation coming in. So
it's a good hedge to have against any kind of fluctuating currencies.
And the more we encourage transactions in business and the market to take metals again, like we used to for thousands of years, for millennia, we encourage that from both the consumer and the producer end of things. That's spreading that philosophy. So.
Definitely. And, it's just one thing that they're not able to fully control. I mean, even if they own it all, they're not able to inflate or create more. So, definitely something good to have.
And the Michael Mears proven method, no lawyer, no problem, howtowincourt.com. Definitely check that out. Great info on there.
Something really exciting going on with the network.
What's that?
What's that? A little drawing going on.
A drawing? A Liberty Luck drawing?
Yes, sir.
What's in that pot?
Well, it looks like first prize gets a pretty cool Spikes skull lower receiver for an AR-15, and this thing looks amazing. Like
what?
Unlike anything I've ever seen.
It's like something the Punisher would be carrying around.
Yeah, this thing's amazing looking.
That does look cool.
Yeah, that looks pretty sick. and for donations that definitely help out the network, keep the shows going. And there's great prizes on here. I mean, second prize, and both of these prizes are sponsored by Central Texas Gunworks. Second prize is the Taurus Curve. I mean, wow, our jaws were dropping on that one, right?
That is a sleek gun right there.
This gun it looks really futuristic. I've never seen this gun before.
That's a nice.
This is the first time I've seen it. It is.
Looks like from the side.
Yeah, it does. It looks like something futuristic from Israel or something. It's got some really neat like curve design. You can see where it looks like it's ergonomic to be carrying, like concealed carry or something. It looks like it could maybe fit in your pocket and like curve around your leg, or maybe on your hip and curve around your hip. It's like really small.
Yeah, really cool.
It has a laser built in and a light built into it, and it's amazing. So, and what else was being given away?
Well, for every $25 donation, it puts you into this raffle, right? So yeah, I mean, only $25 puts you into this raffle, keeps all the great lineup of shows going.
You mean the Liberty Luck drawing?
What was it? The first? Yeah. First,
and nonetheless, yeah, even if you don't win the raffle, first 40 people to give at least $25, so put their name into the raffle. First 40 people are going to receive a My Magic Mud complimentary.
Hey, and My Magic Mud.
It's not a raffle, Rick. You keep saying that word.
Do I?
No,
Yeah.
it's a drawing.
It's a drawing.
But see, drawing. I thought drawing meant like on sketchbooks and stuff like that.
Well, no, we draw out of a hat.
Are you telling me English languages have multiple definitions?
Yes, sir. I'm afraid they do.
All right, drawing sounds a lot better.
And then when we bring law into it, it brings a whole new plethora of nastiness.
So anyway,
So don't use that word.
You get some. You definitely first 40 people who donate to the network are getting some My Magic Mud, and boy, that stuff works so good. I promise. I mean, coffee stains gone. Whatever stains you got.
First 40 donations of $25 get a how much?
They get them.
My Magic Mud.
They get a little canister of My Magic Mud. I mean, it's good for. I mean, I
put their name into the giveaway.
Hundreds of uses. I mean, it lasts longer than a tube of toothpaste. I'll tell you that, and it works a lot better.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah. And there is a third place. The a free vape kit. Yeah, if you into leaving the old cigarette method behind, the old burn and
so that's
choke and burn method of things.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, I heard you can pick your level of nicotine intake on those. So
Yeah, you can also get too much nicotine if you're getting your own cartridges.
and start shaking and twitching.
There's speculation going back and forth as to what the cartridges and all that. So we to each their own. But there's also other uses.
Very, very, very cool though. To get something free for donating. So,
and it again, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't to pay anybody's pocketbook or bills. This is to keep the shows going. I mean, you have the World Report, you got Rule of Law. You got Agenda 21, the Vaccine Myth Show, Truth News, and ourselves here, yours truly, Truth Exposed Radio, and the Crypto Show, and more shows coming in, down the line this year. More stuff, more expansion. The more listeners we get helping out. So, do appreciate you guys listening and being part of this, because this is a family, this is a network, and we're all in it together here. Because the truth needs some defending, doesn't it?
Definitely, especially today.
It's not dead, it's not alive and thriving, but it's it struggles.
It's flopping like a fish.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before we get kick-started with the hot topic of the day, of course, our breakdown of Zionism and everything, we had some events happen. Interesting events happen this week, didn't we?
We sure did.
Seems like the Bundy family is back in the news.
Yeah, perfect timing. For the little Obama thing going on. But yeah, the Bundy situation is definitely interesting. Agenda 21 has been, seizing land, and a lot of people know what the Agenda 21, United Nations plan is. So
if you don't look it up, because it's a long topic for us to get into in our time.
Yeah, definitely. But they're basically, they can seize all the parks and the wildlife refuges, and they can pay it to China.
Yeah, well, apparently,
that would be the executive orders where the president claims the right to do so under executive order. Those executive orders are already in place. But as you're saying,
talking about with what? With
the seizing land, seizing land and property and assets and farms.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming they would probably use some kind of racketeering tactics to get you to give up your land or sell it at really cheap costs. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they're not going to offer you the market value of the land whenever eminent domain is stressed or called out.
They never do. They never do.
And the BLM being a regulatory agency like all the rest of them, like all the rest of the alphabet agencies. Interestingly enough, Google got their name changed to Alphabet. Not that long ago last year, but. With that whole lineup of things, it's just not going through Congress, is it? It's not going through the proper procedure of getting in laws, right? Because if you're going to be held accountable, if you're going to be fined and possibly thrown in jail or possibly, or even worse, killed over such regulations and so-called laws, well, it should go through the proper process of becoming a law, right? Which is congressional vote, not executive action, not regulatory, affirmation. So we're coming on to a break, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely going to keep breaking this down. Stay.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Am I all right? Yeah, I'm all right.
So what should my love have got something to say? I want to say it now, but now is today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. This is January 6th, the New Year's 2016. And we were just getting into the issues of the federal land grabs and a lot of the things that have been taking place across the country. I mean, all out west, they've been coming out and antagonizing and seizing land and trying to claim it for public use, but then they mean federal use and the public can't use it. And so, as you're saying, Rick,
and federal jurisdiction isn't even authorized in states, right?
How can the federal government own property? They're limited to within Washington D.C.
You remember when President Obama got inaugurated here last time, right after he won his second election, and he said state. United State of America. He didn't pluralize it.
A Freudian slip.
Yeah, most definitely.
That's why he's got to have that teleprompter. He's got to have his lies straight.
He was programmed too well to tell the truth, I guess. So they put him up there.
But so we got the two sons of Mr. Old School Bundy. What was his name? Clive Ivan, right? So we got Eamon and Ryan, and it's his two sons, and they're apparently the ones that were kind of behind this federal wildlife refuge takeover in Oregon.
Yeah, let's hope the
it's not really a takeover. It's not a sit-in either.
My understanding
it's just a take back.
The media is like, the media is really swinging this in different ways.
It's my understanding that the state governor even didn't object to it at all, because they were talking. Many states out west are talking about taking back federal lands.
Right.
And I can't remember which state exactly. I was reading an article the other day. It was talking about one state that had actually sent out, it was like years back, they'd actually passed laws in the House saying they're taking back the land, but nothing ever came of it.
They never enforced it.
It, but it's there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you see, even Texas putting in a lot of initiatives that they want, with the bringing back Texas gold into Texas.
Well, they're doing it to Texas too, up North Texas, on northeastern Texas.
Well, this is all a part of Agenda 21, and Agenda 21 is being implemented everywhere in your local community. I mean, there's little Agenda 21 meetings everywhere. I mean, in everyone's little communities, there's one of these little smart
San Antonio
growth,
2020, right?
Smart growth, and blah blah blah. It sounds all good and green and all this garbage, but
so apparently they have weapons, but I mean, I didn't see them toting weapons during the press interview or press conference.
Well, then plus you have to look at whatever the state law is about having firearms. Some states like New York can't have them, so when they see somebody like in Texas carrying a firearm, like, oh my God, look at them, they're terrorists.
Yeah. True. In Oregon, though, I mean, I'm sure it's pretty.
So they're acclimated not used to seeing firearms, whereas we're used to seeing them.
Yeah. But in Oregon, it's a lot more rural up there. There's a lot more, cowboy types. They were like, there's not a lot of city and hustle and bustle. They're not. I mean, they're ready for a revolution. We're not ready for a revolution.
You have all that untamed land.
I think the rest of the country, a more proper term maybe secession. They're ready for secession.
Exactly, but the rest of the country's not.
They're not. No, very much on the teat.
Yeah, and they're not really understanding. I mean, I don't know when the country's going to understand what this Agenda 21 thing's about. I mean, when Yellowstone Park gets turned into some Chinese, super mall, mega mall or something, or
I was going to say roller coaster, but that's
something, a mega mall, with a roller coaster on top.
Pretty much what they did in Austin when they seized that land, and then they ended up selling it over to the condos.
I mean, you're gonna see your national treasures with like roller coasters and stuff on them, and like all kinds of crazy stuff, like shopping malls and stuff. It's just, and China owned, and you what, then it's gonna be too late.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of the fear that the federal government would be, selling off our lands and whatnot to pay off the debt. I mean, didn't they already sell off one of our deep?
They can have China.
I mean,
they can have
California. Don't they always just give away stuff? I mean, don't you have like pretty much ports on the California coastline that are already pretty much Chinese run? And you have, remember they wanted to give all the ports to the Arab Emirates?
Bush gave one of our deepwater ports over there to China, I believe, in the Pacific, if I'm not mistaken.
Or was it Arabs?
Well, no, he wanted to, right? And there was like this big, backlash about it. And you have the privatization of which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's quasi privatization, right? I mean, it's not full privatization. It's not.
It's when they get zero government. It's when the government owns it, and then they decide who gets to privately own it.
Somebody on the inside is picking and choosing who's getting it.
That Spanish company that wanted to come and put toll roads on Texas roads.
Yeah.
You have these,
what is that, NAFTA
essentially
superhighway?
socialized grants to big business and to other interests that gave to those political contributors.
They bribe people for a contract. Hey, I'll help get you in office if you can help. Make sure my company starts getting the local contracts or the state contracts, city contracts.
Yeah, and they're calling themselves.
You see the same thing with politicians and whatnot, hooking up their family members and good friends,
right,
showing them favoritism for things.
Oh yeah, definitely, we see that. So yeah, how many of these land grabs are just for to give away to Ted Turner or something like that?
If I'm not mistaken, what was it? Who's that one? I think Harry Reid had some ties to the Bundy Ranch in that area because a lot of those ranchers were getting run out, and Bundy was one of the last ones that was surviving in that area.
Yeah, I'm sure you can Google that and definitely find. I recall something about Harry Reid's dirty fingers all over that.
And then aside, I mean, really, what sparked this whole take? Again, I want to use the word takeover, but
yeah, they've been using it. It's like they brainwashed us with their own.
This whole manifestation, this protest, is really for this dad and son figures, Dwight Hammond and Stephen, his son, that apparently they're facing terrorism charges because they were clearing their fields.
They cleared
future ranching or whatever.
They cleared
by burning, right?
Yeah,
by using burning methods.
Yeah, that's also how you fertilize farms and stuff that way too. And you prevent other fires from taking place by doing a pre-burn to stop.
That's what they did.
You make barriers. Yeah, you
that's
make
exactly
barriers.
what they did.
It's a fire block.
And they ended up burning. Yeah, they ended up burning a lot of BLM land.
100 acres or something out of
130 acres. And the government actually admitted to the fact that the burn, right, since it's something that is actually considered a service in the market and it ups the value of the land. Yeah, that's exactly what it did. It upped the value of the land.
Yeah, you put nutrients and stuff back into the soil.
So the government
stuff grows back greener.
The federal government got an up in its land value.
Yeah.
And then they want to charge you with terrorism.
They were already supposed to do it, as a matter of fact. They actually just did the job for them. How about that?
Well, you weren't authorized.
Yeah, you weren't exactly.
You weren't the unionized grass
workers. Yeah, you weren't. We didn't steal them. We didn't get to steal the money from you. Take a cut and then pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
That's what they're mad about.
And that's a common practice too for as long as man has been out there farming, is to burn the lands to reignite the soil and get the nitrogen back up in there. It's been and to prevent other fires. It's been going on for a long time. You can still see it whenever Mexico does it in their lands. That fog will come blow over Texas.
Yeah. So it's so they served. I think it was a little over a year.
They've already done time for this. Is this double jeopardy?
They're reclassifying it as terrorism now.
It's already. It's like they lay dollar short, bro. Like,
unless I guess you reclassify it.
Yeah, no. I don't see how you can reclassify something after you've already made them pay for the crime.
There was another case where the BLM had killed off the farmers' land and had burned their land, but they don't face any terrorism charges.
Well, unless it's reclassified for a bigger crime, right? Because then you can just say, well, okay, you served 1 year of this bigger crime that we're reclassifying it under. Like, instead of 1 year, you're going to do 5 years now, right? Because it's been reclassified. That they haven't. You've been in waiting. I don't know if they've had an official
post facto, wouldn't it? That's after the fact. You can't be held. You can't pass a law and hold somebody accountable for something they've already been held accountable for in the past, and change the law and say, okay, now.
Yeah, it may be some double jeopardy going on.
Well, there also is there is word. As this thing has been provocateured by what are they saying? They're saying their special ops are called into Oregon as fake militiamen exposed as Fed provocateurs by the real militia. And that's
I bet you that's the
Free Thought Project, freethoughtproject.com article we shared on Truth Exposed radio on Facebook, the Facebook page. So it's not smelling good, man. It's just not looking good. And I've heard the feds aren't too happy with those brothers, and they don't like them being rebel rousers, and it's really scary. Hopefully they don't send in any of these alphabet agencies like they did during Waco and Ruby Ridge and do any of that.
And they're going to use it for the gun grab agenda.
Yep, exactly. That's why the provocateurs are there,
Exactly.
So we are, coming on to a break here at Truth Exposed. And, we'll be back after these messages to break down some more of these issues.
Ever walk into a room to get something and then forget why you went there in the first place? Amazingly, that memory lapse may be the doorway's fault. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with the crazy details in a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
How many times have you stood in the middle of a room with no idea why you went there? It may not be forgetfulness, it could be the door. Scientists say our brains use doorways as event boundaries to separate activities and file them away. College students were asked to move objects around a room, and half of them walked through a doorway. Those who passed through the door had a harder time remembering what they had done, and even returning to where they got the instructions didn't help. If avoiding doorways improves your memory, maybe those wacky open classrooms of the 1970s were onto something. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This lovely Wednesday, January 6, 2016, Truth Exposed here. And we're just wrapping up here these events because it seems like the progressivist media out there is just grilling this whole event as a terrorist uprising.
It's the new Al-Qaeda. It's the white terrorism. Everybody knows it's white terrorism, and they're getting away with it because they got that white privilege. That's that white privilege. They ain't bombed them yet.
It's their gun.
They ain't droned them yet, because they're white. And they ain't shot them all down because they're white. Well, I don't remember the police shooting up Ferguson and killing everybody in Ferguson.
If they were Al-Qaeda, the government would be giving them weapons.
Yeah. There you go. No kidding. They'd be shipping in weapons over there.
Well, and that's not to say that we know historically the government is the only institution that has been able to maintain racist policies without suffering the social consequences of such policies. And yet we have movements that are coming out being disgruntled for such actions, calling for more government to be the solution, then just boggles the mind. I mean, it really does boggle the noggin. And it just resorts back to this. We've all seen it. It just resorts back to yelling in your face until you shut up and then you submit to their bludgeoning and their belligerent rants that make no sense whatsoever. I mean, no points to be made.
I'm always disappointed when people just can't sit down and have a civil discussion over these points and topics, and they just decide to rant and rave and yell. And it's like, I don't even stoop to that level because you just make yourself look foolish.
And just to mention real quick, we've got open carry in Texas now.
Yeah.
And I see all these people saying, oh, that's so the police can get away with killing black people because now they'll have a gun and they can just shoot them and say, see, they had a gun. And it's just like, you believe?
Now it's making it to where it's lawful to where they can just be walking around with a gun.
Yeah, and you can't shoot somebody.
So what if he had a gun?
Yeah.
So what if he had a gun? Yeah.
And plus, you still have to have a permit.
You got to prove that he was a threat to you. You can't just.
You still have to have a permit in order to openly carry a pistol, but not with a rifle.
Yeah.
Or a shotgun.
Yeah. And you need to properly carry it. You can't be walking around displaying it like you're about to use it.
Yeah, that's true too.
I mean, it's a little alarming if you're
away.
walking around with your finger on the trigger, like looking like you're hunting, like out in the street,
or walking and holding it at the ready, like you're on patrol or something.
Yeah, like you're at a checkpoint or something for Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, and this really comes down to, I think, an unjustified animosity towards state rights advocates or towards 10th Amendment, minded people, or just state rights, sovereign minded people or political ideologies that really do try to decentralize political power to a more local level, which is better than the federalization and the centralization of everything. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that is better. I mean, you can't have a Mao or a Hitler or a Stalin unless you have full federalization and centralization of power. Don't get me wrong, but there's still just because it's locally run doesn't mean they're not going to have a local gang running people
it's
on
just
a local
easier.
level.
It's easier to control your local levels than it is, a federal level.
It's much easier. Yeah, I mean, it's a smaller gang than a bigger gang for sure. But
and that's one of the issues we have with the police. Is that it's all top down. It's all centralized. I mean, that's how they've institutionalized the racism, is because it's all top down. I mean, if it was all private agencies that get hired and fired at will, then they're not going to be able to get away with it. They're going to be more accountable and having to do their job and their service correctly.
Yeah, the city is the one. The city is the one who the police officers answer to, and the ones who tells the officers you need to make more money for us. The city council.
It turns into revenue generating and.
Well, we know. We know it is. I mean, it's just obvious. I mean, when there's nobody
arbitrary
claiming any kind of wrongdoing against them. Whether it's property or personal.
Yeah, in other words, no one called them. There's no one being.
You versus the state of whatever. You versus the U.S. government. There really is. I mean, you can't face your accuser at that point.
Let's see them put you in the boxing ring with the state. There's not going to be anyone there.
Can I face my accuser?
Yeah.
So that's the problem. And it's hilarious how we just believe that this complete lack of accountability, which has historically been the case over and over again with government, somehow let's just give them all the land under the some federal bureaucracy, or let's just
all the guns.
Let's let government take care of global warming. I'm sure they just them taxing business and everybody to the max and cutting back on our energy consumption is gonna I'm sure they're gonna fix the problem. I'm sure, since they fixed so many problems in the past.
The FDA is cool with aspartame. I mean, come on, they don't care.
They weren't back twice.
Not until Rumsfeld got in there and finagled some.
Wasn't Rumsfeld on the board, the CEO of the company that made aspartame?
Yeah. And weren't they in the biological weapons?
I used to actually chew bubblegum until that stuff got all in everything. They used to only put aspartame in the sugar-free,
now it's in everything.
The diabetes, style candies. Now it's in everything. I quit.
You can't escape it.
I can't have candy no more.
Unless you cut it out.
So to wrap up this whole Bundy situation in Oregon, sure, I mean, I can see why they're calling themselves citizens for constitutional freedom which is almost
it's kind of
pretty hilarious
because.
But I can see why they're doing it, because they're using, basically, ladies and gentlemen, if the government's going to lay down a set of rules of, these rules that everyone has to follow, you can't all of a sudden change the rules halfway through it all, right? It just doesn't work that way. That's what you consider tyranny. That's why we put rules in place, and then you have to have a vote in order to change the rules, because that's how you keep tyranny at bay. Everyone is under the law.
But they're going to reclassify this and recharge them.
Well, right. I mean, in the end, we believe that, just.
Well, see, that's just it. Now that they changed the law, they're like, oh, we're not trying. It's not double jeopardy. It's not the same thing. We created
a new law. It's a new law. It's a new charge. It's a new charge.
Yeah, right.
We forgot to charge you. See, and you know what? Then they can just go back on all your future arrests and say, oh, there's new charges on those now. And they can go back and get everybody on new charges on everything. They can say drinking while intoxicated is terrorism and all kinds of stuff, or who knows what, add something new to it, and then go back and get everybody on all their priors and add new stuff to it. How about that?
Cuddy, stop giving them ideas.
That's where they're going. Thought crime's next.
Yeah,
pre-crime.
So they're using state constitutional lingo and federal constitutional lingo in order to justify, at least under the rule of law, at least under the rule book that the government has given us initially, their actions. Now, as anarchists here on the show, you know that we don't really stand for a document. It's not right to hold people accountable to a document that they themselves did not want to sign. Yeah, didn't want to be privy to. You can't just put unborn children into a contract they haven't chosen to be part of.
That's forced servitude.
Exactly.
It kind of is. So when it comes to this, we do need to look at the natural rights perspective of things, and really it goes down to homesteading. Private property rights, land is acquired through homesteading, and really, again, back to the whole idea of some kind of bureaucracy, the BLM, some federal bureaucracy, them having a claim or an ownership, a rightful ownership to just endless amounts of land that they themselves haven't touched or changed or altered or put any effort into in any way.
But the BLM is a fiction. They have the right to own property.
Well, it's not a fiction per se. It's a fiction in the sense that you can't say, well, it's just the people, or it's just the it's whatever. No, it's all the individuals that work for the BLM. And that's where it starts to get personal. That's where it starts to rub, grind the gears a little bit.
Do they know what they're doing?
Rub the skin a little bit too much.
Do they understand who they're working for?
Don't criticize. You can criticize the idea of government and corruption, but once you start criticizing the individuals that are part of the government and the corruption, then all of a sudden it gets personal, doesn't it? All of a sudden the feelings start getting hurt, and you end up having 3% police officers or something like walking contradictions. It just doesn't. People that haven't come to terms with what that believe that they were genuinely doing good when they're doing absolutely.
I just following my orders. I was following my orders. Yeah.
So it's a delusion we have to get rid of, ladies and gentlemen. Highly encourage you guys to look into this state rights, look into the constitutional law of Oregon, look into the constitutional authority of the BLM, what they were given jurisdiction over, all these different issues, because they're crucial. They're crucial, and until we understand them, we're not going to get anywhere with it, are we?
Mm-mm. And they're creating a new bureaucracy for the guns now too. I forget how many 400 agents or something for this.
I thought that's what the ATF was for.
It's job creation. It's job creation.
And we all knew this was coming. When the economy starts to tank, we know government's going to start creating jobs, and you want to see what kind of jobs they are.
They create loyal servants that work for their under their teeth.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, welcome to Saudi Arabia. 80% of everybody works for Big Brother.
Easy.
Tuning in. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. It is January 6, 2016. Happy New Year. Yay. And we've just been covering some of the latest news. We just talked about the old Bundy situation, the Oregon standoff, or whatever you want to call it.
So, you see that video on the news of that little girl having to go through the TSA pat down, crying the dad was videoing it? Yeah.
More of that. Let me check your diaper.
No, I think she was like 8 or 9 or something like that. Maybe somewhere between 8 and 10.
I seen him checking little baby's prosthesis and missing limbs.
And as if that's somebody's colostomy bag.
Oh man, yeah, that too.
And as if that's an actual service to society. I'm pretty sure if you hold airlines accountable the way you should all businesses, right, to property and all that, they would find a way to manage it and
they would hire their own security and their security would be more accountable.
Pass the cost on to people that are actually using the service versus just indiscriminately passing it on to the whole of society through via taxation.
For our safety.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Tax for our safety.
I'm sure it's just ridiculous where we're at. So yesterday, quite an eventful little speech there. The president.
What do you mean, teleprompter reading?
Yeah, I think there was one or two there. Yeah,
pepper in the eye.
My crocodile tears.
Yeah, I mean, given his little gun control speech concerning the executive actions that they're taking here, the executive branch, in order to, they're saying they want to control, relabel certain private sellers in order to, force people to get more background checks.
But it's good. What's good for overseas is not good for us, though. I mean, we can ship all these guns and all these weapons to all these people overseas and to the drug cartels, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But Americans, we need to make sure.
Well, yeah, and don't mention, and the lovely thing about background checks, and lovely, I'll use it really here, stretching it, is they get to determine what's mentally stable and unstable. Like they get to determine what who's somebody that's unworthy of carrying a firearm and who is, and
whose lives are worthy. I mean, they're basically saying that kids' lives over in the other parts of the world don't matter, but over here they do. We're going to cry for them and we're going to create gun control for them, but over other parts, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I got flagged every time I purchased a pistol or a firearm. Two pistols and some other firearms.
Well, let's not say everything you got.
No, that's why I stopped there. I even called up the FBI one day. I was like, why am I keep on getting flagged about this? And it was just
because you're Al Qaeda.
No, they said it was just because the district attorney had hiccup and he didn't do his job right.
Man, they always just say that if they don't. I mean, they just be like, I don't know, we don't like you.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got Eric Holder having hiccups when an American citizen is trying to get authorized for gun ownership, but when it comes to
giving it to
Fast and Furious,
a bunch of crazy banshees,
yeah, Fast and Furiously down in Mexico, just to monitor the transfer of weapons and the flow of weaponry and money too, because they gave them a bunch of money, if you recall, and also gave HSBC Bank a slap on the wrist just from funneling money for the drug lords. It's okay. Come on, what kind of hypocrisy? What kind of hypocrisy do we have going on here? I mean, seriously, I mean, how can so-called self-proclaimed liberals and Democrats sit idly by as this is like just something that happened within this administration? It's not even like we're talking, about Bush here. This is this administration that got busted funneling weapons to cartels, and now they want to control the sale of weapons here for their citizenry.
Well, even though it had been going on under Bush and presidents prior.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, this is not the first. Running is
that particular running, the gun running into Mexico.
I think it was just a different name under Bush. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and they always act like, we didn't know, Like, what do you know? Why do we even need a president then if, to run everything if you don't even know anything's going on?
Well, that's the hilarious illusion of what we, unfortunately, now to criticize the talk radio folk a little bit. I mean, the things aren't just a problem of this administration. It wasn't just this administration that ruined the whole system all of a sudden. Yeah. I mean, this is a system that involves thousands and thousands and thousands of individuals.
It's bureaucratic, plausible deniability.
Exactly, right?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. But that's exactly, and then you notice, they always create the front groups, like you were saying, one bank owned by the other bank. It's that way, it's by proxy. I mean, that's how all the secret societies do. They just create new front groups and new front groups and new front groups, and so
smoke screens, round table.
Yeah, and then that way you can never figure out who's who and what's going on.
It's the same thing with corporations. They change their names or they have mergers.
And who do you think owns them on? Or who are they in collusion with? All these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's their game.
So yeah. I mean, so of course they're using the rhetoric of, well, we just want to expand background checks, make it safer for everybody. But he did mention something that was startling in his speech. If you watch the 36-minute speech there that happened yesterday, the president he mentioned, basically two things which were very shocking. In fact, he mentioned fingerprint weapons and. Fingerprint, enabled weaponry and GPS tracking of guns, like cell phones.
Guess what, dude? We're already making our own guns. I don't know what you're going to do. Come to my house and figure out how many I got and then add some fingerprint device to it. I mean, good luck. Or are you going to try to make it mandatory?
They want to ban all the other guns, and they want you to buy the guns with the fingerprints on them,
or get some device.
The industries that they've propped it up.
The people of Infowars brought up some good points. I saw this when I was getting off work. They were bringing up the points of all the kids that were at home whenever their parents were out at work or wherever the parents weren't around. All these children that had protected themselves and their property by having access to their.
They couldn't do that if there was a fingerprint.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to use it. They'd be standing there going, "Oh crap! Whatever this criminal is about to do is going to happen, and hopefully I don't die."
You're just making people victims, but that's what they want, so they can create more bureaucracy to save us all.
And of course, as the cycle of socialism and government goes, the more the problems increase because of their initiatives, the more initiatives they're going to want to pass.
We'll be safe in a FEMA camp, and then we'll be safe in a grave.
Yeah.
I believe Eisenhower had a quote like that. If you want to be safe, go to prison. They'll keep you safe there.
Yeah, they will.
Or if you want the government to take care of you,
make sure no one opens the cell so you don't catch a shank.
The redundancy, or not redundancy. I'm sorry. The idiocracy of bringing up President Roosevelt's speech, where he told us about the 4 freedoms, at least according to Roosevelt, and freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and then freedom of want and freedom of fear. Which it's freedom of want and fear. I mean, that's utopian.
Yeah.
For government to provide all your wants for all of society, and for government to rid all of society of all their fears. Of all their fears. Yeah, I mean, that's the 4 freedoms of Bernie.
The field burns.
Except I think he just brought them down to 2. Want, yeah. And fear.
Yeah.
I was going to be a lot fan of FDR. I didn't really care for him too much.
Yeah.
So definitely the most startling information I captured from that speech, other than the fake crying, rubbing the chili.
And the people in the background doing a good acting job too of looking real concerned and sad and giving condolences to one another and kumbaya in the back.
Right. Because you know that every single person that's placed in the front of the camera screen and the whole way the whole room is arranged and the people that are allowed in there, it's all for a reason. And it was
choreographed. It's choreographed.
What's hilarious, it was like a prep rally. If you guys listen to it, it's like a prep rally. You had the people clapping and hooraying and stuff for arguments that the president wouldn't even, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't even articulate. I mean, when we make a statement, we back it up. We try to back it up with logic and facts. Why is it that people in power, presidents, popes, priests,
they just say things.
They can just make claims, right? Outrageous claims and not have to prove it. And if you ask for that proof, hey, well, you're being a bad serf. You're being a bad serf now. You're being a bad citizen. And you're being a bad congregant.
Joe Biden kind of looks like the angry cat with that frown.
He does.
He's got that frown so low.
Yeah, see, but he's not a good actor. He's got to put it on.
Well, he didn't wipe the jalapeno pepper or whatever it was on his eye to get the crocodile tears.
Yeah, like the Vicks Vapor Rub, or who knows what they're using. Glenn Beck uses Vicks. But each actor's got their own, pepper or, chili patines or who knows.
Don't mess around the chili patines, man.
Chili patines, man. Patines.
Get it right.
Picoso. So last week, ladies and gentlemen, we started getting into Zionism, and as you guys well know, if you've been listening to us over the last couple months and years, we get into some side issues. We're libertarians and we love economics and logic and political philosophy, but we also love getting into some history and some, dare I say, alternative forms of history or parts of history that have been mysteriously brushed
swept under the rug. Definitely.
Yeah. So
this is a topic that you can't really talk about. I mean,
not really, right?
No, it's an interesting topic. Even if you might find things that you don't agree with, that you may have heard some different aspects of, but like anything, it's an interesting topic to go into, and then that we have a broader perspective of what other things might be alluding to.
But history and the facts don't lie. So that's pretty much where we try not to get too much in the feels.
Yeah, we try to avoid those.
It's hard not to though. Every now and then you gotta let some feels out.
But you gotta
you gotta back them up with some.
You gotta catch yourself when you do feel like, hey,
yeah, we're human.
That made me feel something.
Yeah.
So we discussed.
You're a terrorist.
Yeah, right. We started to discuss some of the biblical text that's used to justify the support of the modern political Zionist nation state of Israel, so-called. We got into some of the verses in Genesis, the promises that God made to Abraham and then eventually made to Isaac, and then followed it up with making it to Jacob. And quite interesting. We definitely got into the spiritual application of those and some of the physical applications. And we're going to reiterate a little bit of it here after we get on to our break when we come back for the next hour and really start to break this down, because it seems to be a major reason why the church in the United States, the Christians in the United States, which is a predominant branch of everybody here in the U.S., why we have all these constant wars in the Middle East going and being supported and being, pushed and everything, and how it's being allowed. I thought Jesus was about peace. So
very true.
Well, we're going to definitely be breaking this down, analyzing it, and hope you come along with us for the ride. So this is Truth Exposed Radio. We'll be back after these messages.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio, here every Wednesday on the Logos Radio Network. Go check out the website, check out the sponsors. get in on that drawing, that Liberty Luck drawing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If anyone didn't catch it at the beginning of the transmission,
$25 donations get you in the the drawing for this here lower receiver.
Yeah, there's a really cool Spikes
First prize.
lower receiver for first prize, and it has got like where the magwell is at. There is like this really cool, it is the outside of it is literally in the shape of a skull. Like it looks like some Punisher stuff. It's really extremely unique.
I was thinking more
lower
like
receiver.
Spawn or something.
Yeah, Spawn. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's not really so much Punisher. Yeah, it's just really a detailed lower receiver for first prize. I mean,
and then that second prize, Taurus Curve. Oh man,
it's really hard to tell which one I would rather have. I mean,
I'd rather take the Taurus Curve just because I have my own lower.
Yeah, I'm kind of privy to that little pistol as well. I mean, that thing's got a light and a laser on it. It's some new model I've never seen in my life. The Taurus Curve, second place prize.
Yeah, and all it takes is $25 to get in the drawing. So
great sponsors there over at Central Texas Gunworks for setting that up.
Right, very nice weaponry there, and first 40 donators get a magic mud.
My magic mud.
Get that mud on your grill.
Yes, sir. Shine them up.
Nice and shiny.
They should get Primus as a sponsor and put that "My Name's Mud" song.
My name is Mud. Yeah.
And that's just for $25, ladies and gentlemen. You get put into this drawing, and really, again, it helps out all the great lineup of shows that all the work that Logos puts out there, broadcasting all the time.
Definitely. So new shows are coming as well.
Transmitting.
Yes, sir. Transmission is live.
And there's a third place prize. There is a free vape kit that for you guys that may like tobacco, and I'm sure if you don't personally like it, there's somebody that would be a wonderful gift for. Get them off the old cigarettes, that old way of doing things.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, you could do other things with it too.
I'm sure.
Marshall keeps alluding to something.
Well, to those states that have the legalities there.
Yeah,
I think oils were recently approved, right?
Texas? Oh, yeah, that's right. Texas did approve oils for medicinal use.
Wonder what they're all the hoops you got to jump for.
I'm sure that they've got the lobby to where they only had allow only
like 2 or 3 licenses.
There's only I think 4 permits.
Oh wow, great.
Yeah.
Like 4 permits for the people to make the stuff to bring onto the market.
Oh, okay.
But we're talking about other things here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
but definitely there's a lot of studies on that. I mean, just the benefits of cannabis and really concentrated forms killing cancer cells and being admitted to studies where it doesn't impair your judgment as far as being able to handle machinery. Just over and over again, it doesn't create holes in your head like other things do. MSG, it's not addictive.
I think even a Harvard study said it increases your brain cell growth, which was contrary to what everyone else always believed that you're killing your brain cells.
Whereas alcohol has been pretty much, all that ethanol and it's pretty much proven to be detrimental to
and a lot more dangerous. I mean,
bro.
To be honest,
more people die from alcohol than they ever died from marijuana.
Wrecking their car too. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. That's our personal opinion.
Definitely.
Back to Genesis.
But and we definitely got the great lineup of supporters here. Non-GMO Solutions, GHC Global Healing Center, Gold Savings Club. Definitely check out those carrot bars and buy Amazon, guys. Go through the website. Go through logosradionetwork.com. Clear them cookies and make some purchases. Would much appreciate it. So where were we, ladies and gentlemen? We were going to sum up real quick. We talked again about the promises that God had made to Abraham concerning his seed, how they would be numerous as the stars of the sky, like the sand of the sea. They would be a blessing to the whole world, so on and so forth, right? And then even some land promises between the great river of Egypt and the river of Euphrates and all the land in between was given to Abraham in particular. And it was, and we read that, from Christian commentators that were Protestant in origin, the OGs when it came to the Protestants, and definitely encourage you to check out, Catholic commentaries, the old and the new ones, and then, of course, the evangelical commentaries, which are just in the last century or so. And definitely compare these, the breakdown of these verses and how they've changed over the years or who's remained consistent with it. And we read how the promise made to Abraham was really the promise of the Messiah, the coming Messiah, that through the Messiah, the whole world would be blessed. And through the Messiah, the seed of Abraham would become innumerous, right? Have no number to it, essentially.
Yeah, and I think we did kind of discuss the fact that nowadays, I mean, if you want to go DNA-wise,
we're probably all interlinked in a sense.
Yeah, I think it's more than 1 in 20-something people.
And it's those that physically follow.
And probably even really everybody.
Right, because physically speaking, I mean, the northern tribe, Israel was dispersed throughout the whole world when the Assyrians took them over. And then, Judea and the tribe of Benjamin were dispersed when Babylon took them over. So, I mean, you have
some of them made it to Venice.
But
right,
DNA,
you got Hebrews going all over the place.
But DNA doesn't dictate that according to Scripture. So, because
No,
a lot of people want to just be like, oh, I test my DNA, so I'm good or something. I'm a Ashkenazi Jew or something, and I'm good. Like,
right. Well, let's take Christ's words for themselves here in Matthew chapter 3. Basically, the Pharisees and the Sadducees come up to Jesus' baptism, and they said unto him, I'm sorry, this is John the Baptist speaking here. So the Pharisees go up and the Sadducees go up to his baptism, John the Baptist. He's baptizing people. And John the Baptist says, O generation of vipers, who hath come and warned you to flee from the wrath to come. Bring forth, therefore, fruits, meet for repentance, right? Repent of your sins. Think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you, that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. So there we have John the Baptist pretty much laying it down pretty hardcore there, pretty much telling the Jews that, hey, you know what, just because you're from the lineage of Abraham, that's not going to save you, because God could raise from these stones the lineage of Abraham. It doesn't really, you don't even have to be part of the lineage of Abraham at all. You could just be the stone here, and God, can make you worthy. It has to do with the repentance. It has to do with having a good standing heart with the Lord, right? This is being crucial. Other verses, Luke 3 as well. Again, I mean, I guess it's the reoccurrence of the same scenario here with John the Baptist. Bring therefore fruits worthy repentance, and begin not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. Calling them, hypocrites for not getting straight with God. And there's other places where Jesus, right, saith unto them. So we're moving on from John the Baptist to Jesus. In John chapter 8, Jesus says unto them, well, let me go. I'm going to go back a couple of verses here, starting with verse 37. I know that you are Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me because my word had no place in you. I speak that which I have seen of my Father, right, of God, and ye do that which ye have seen of your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Jesus said unto them, if ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. But now ye seek to kill me, a man that hath told you the truth, which I have heard of God. And this, Abraham, right, wasn't trying to kill righteous people, the prophets of God or anything, much less the Savior, right? You do the deeds of your father. And then they said unto him, we be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even God. And Jesus said unto them, if God were your father, you would love me, for I proceed forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he that sent me. So, and eventually goes on to, even harsher words. You're your father, you're the devil, right? The lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. He was a liar and the father of them, or father of it, right? So very harsh words here.
Yeah, it sounds like, they violated NAP, crucifying Jesus, bro. I mean, all he was doing was calling him out. I mean, come on. And of course, what did they do? Oh, they totally proved him wrong.
Right, and it has, and people get all convoluted with this race issue, because the fact that Christ and John the Baptist are saying that you're sons of the devil and hypocrites and vipers and broods of snakes, right? It's not having to do anything with their bloodline. They're like trying to say that over and over again. It has to do with who you follow, your actions, right? Yeah. Whose heart are you more like? Whose heart are you more like? Are you more like Abraham's heart? Do you think and act more like Abraham? Do you speak more like Abraham, or do you think and act and speak like the devil? Right, I mean that's what determines whether you're part of the stone or
your fruits,
not.
Your fruits, your actions. Yeah,
because isn't it so much easier just to say, hey, well, I got a little bit of this to me.
Right? It's like they didn't prove him wrong. I mean, just crazy.
So. It really is, and there's for those that I know, modern dispensationalists, people that are very much Christian Zionists, hey, they love Paul. Right, they want to brush aside John the Baptist and Jesus as just prophets for the Jews, or speaking to the Jews, rather, prophesying to the Jews, and Paul being the speaker for the Gentiles, right? I mean, this is one of the core tenets of dispensationalism, which is kind of a weird tenet. But anyhow, going to Paul himself here in Romans chapter 2, basically he says here, starting on verse 25, that for circumcision verily is profitable if thou do the law, but if thou be transgressors of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. Therefore, if the uncircumcision, the non-Jew, right, the Gentile, keep the ordinances of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if they kept by law, condemn thee, which by the letter of circumcision you transgress the law, right? So then he says here, finalizing it, verse 28 and 29, key verses, chapter 2 of Romans, for he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, outward circumcision, right? Neither is that circumcision which is an outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew, which is one within. The circumcision is of the heart and of the spirit, not in the letter, of whose praise is not of men, but of God. So it's not about the praise of man, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about exterior things that we do, signs that we do to ourselves. It's not about the bloodline that we have in ourselves. It's not about anything to glory on in ourselves. We're glorying in God making us righteous and holy people because of his son. Through his son, right? So that's what we glory in. And that's some hardcore statement right there. I mean, that's probably, you say that today at an APAC get together. Or a Christian Zion at a John Hagee church. They'll call you an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
I mean, they will, you know?
Yeah, they will.
To say that, you have to be a believer in Christ, be circumcised in the heart in order to be considered a real Jew, a real seed of Abraham. And is
it really even anti-Semitic?
No, it's not. Of course not.
Of course
but
not. They throw that at work.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live, of course. Feel free to call in 512-646-1984. Truth Exposed Radio here, and just breaking down these highly controversial, highly debated issues. But we can't come to any common ground unless we talk about things. We can't understand where each of us are coming from unless we talk about things.
You anti-Semitic.
The more you talk about things,
you anti-Semite.
the less likely you're willing to fight.
Yeah, we got to have a civil discussion about these topics.
No, we can't just name call and shut down.
No, I'm afraid we can't.
Oh man, me and Hagee are gonna go away. Bye, guys.
I'm taking my Hagee and going home.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? And not to pick on John Hagee, it's Paul Lindsay as well. A lot of John MacArthur. It's all of them. It's Tim LaHaye.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all the TBN. Everybody on TBN that you see on TBN. I mean, all those people are hardcore dispensationalists. And so many people. Wow. I mean, it's just a political ideology.
Wrapped in a religious flag.
And did we get in? I think we got into how it was created by the Catholic Church, didn't we? We did a show on that, didn't we?
What's that?
We did. We did.
Dispensationalism. Yeah. I mean, it really was a Jesuit priest. I forget his first name, Ribera, but 1500s. Yeah, that came up with a counter to the historicist interpretation of things. And in fact, the Old Catholic Douay Bible, which is the English translation of the Latin Vulgate, in their little commentary section, look at Daniel 9. They at least mention the three different views. They at least are honest enough to mention
that there's three different ones.
Right. And they even back then, we're talking about 1607 and 1609 or whatnot. Even back then, it talks about the 70th week being thrown in the future of Daniel 9.
This really works for who. I mean, the powers that be right now.
It really does, because then we have the Prime Minister of Israel coming over to our Congress, and by our I mean the U.S. Congress, and pretty much quoting scripture nonstop in order to justify the political support of the nation state of Israel. I didn't get that. I mean, was that a sermon or was that a political speech? Because it seemed like it was both, and that's a scary thing.
Statism is a religion, isn't it? So it's.
But the same type of fanaticism.
That's what Zionism is.
Right. This same type of fanaticism we see in a lot of the Sharia side of things, right? The very militant and the very state influenced Muslims.
State forced, the religion down your throat.
Right. I mean, ISIS going around.
Cut your throat off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was Vice or somebody else. Some other crazy reporters went down and met up with ISIS in Iraq, and they're going around, and ISIS is going around getting taxes from everybody, banning
I saw that
beer sales.
Yeah, they went and regulated the market. They walked around with guns and they went around to everybody that collected taxes, and people were getting shut down, and all kinds of things.
And they had their own courts. They had their own political.
Oh, their courts are terrible.
Yeah, and obviously it's a very politicized religion, and we see this historically. We saw it with
don't you have to convert? Don't you have to convert? You know,
we saw it within the Armenian Church, right, the first state-funded church, and we saw it within the Orthodox side of things, very state-funded religions. But we also see
Spanish Inquisition,
right. But we also see this form of radical theocratic. Ideology running through Judaism as well.
Go be a Christian right now and go and become a citizen of Israel. Go try it.
You can't.
Go try it. You think they're Christian friendly.
And right. And it's hugely important.
But we'll be giving them all our money.
Oh, yeah.
How much? Sure. $15 billion a year.
We got to pay our dues, man.
Yeah, to the state of Israel, not to the people. The people are all throughout the world.
And it's because if these verses that we're looking at, not even these New Testament verses, I don't know really what the reviews are on those as far as how they snake their way through explaining those verses. But when it comes to the Genesis verses, they make it very clear in Genesis. They say straight up, these promises that God made to Abraham and to Isaac and Jacob, well, that pretty much means that if your country doesn't support the nation state of Israel, that your country is going to be cursed.
Which is a joke.
And that's,
that's completely false.
Yeah, I mean, you're politicizing it.
Yeah.
And you're taking it as a literal bloodline that Jesus and Paul and John the Baptist didn't. Let's look at another chapter here, Romans chapter 9. Open this one up for you dispensationalists. I mean, Paul, hey, he was a G, right? So let's read it from the G's mouth. I say the truth in Christ, I lie not, my conscience bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I would wish myself to be separate from Christ, for my brethren that are my kinsmen according to the flesh, which are the Israelites to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of God, and the promises of who are the fathers, and whom concerning the flesh Christ came, right? Christ was an Israelite. He was of the tribe of Judah, who is God over all. Christ being God over all, blessed forever, amen, right? Notwithstanding, it cannot be that the word of God should take none effect, for all they are not Israel, which are of Israel. Interesting. For all they are not Israel, which are of Israel. Neither all they are all children, because they are the seed of Abraham, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Oh, they don't like that?
That is, they which are the children of the flesh are not the children of God, but the children of the promise, which are counted for the seed. For this is the word of the promise, and the same time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. He's quoting the Old Testament here, Sarah, Abraham's wife. But, and then he goes on and on to really lineate that it has really nothing to do with the flesh. It never really did at all. Because Abraham had a lot of sons. And sure, the promises were conferred to Isaac and to Jacob, but that's because Jacob had 12 sons. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and one of Jacob's sons was named Judah, and from his lineage came Christ. So you can trace it all back and see how it pertains to the Spirit, right? I mean, it's pretty clear, pretty cut. But again, if we look at Daniel 9 and how they've thrown the 70th week into the future, if you really analyze that and compare it with, again, guys, highly suggest you take notes on this. I mean, pull out a notepad, pull out a pen right now. Do so, because you're gonna want to look up the Geneva Bible, their commentary, the first Protestant Bible commentary to ever come out. You're gonna want to check out that commentary on those verses, on those Genesis verses. You're gonna want to check out John Calvin, Matthew Poole, that's Poole, Matthew Henry, John Gill, John Wesley, Charles Spurgeon. Some of these names are really big now. These are like pillars in what's considered the Protestant faith. Adam Clark, Albert Barnes, and just look up historicism in general. These Protestant commentaries are actually free and not copywritten, in their public domain, so you can check them out online. Unlike all the Hall Lindsey and the Tim LaHaye and the John Hagee commentaries, which you got to pay like $80 for the fake leather Bible in order to get their one volume commentary, where these are like multiple 20 volume, 12 volume, 8 volume commentaries for free on the internet. So definitely encourage you guys to check it out. It's out there. The truth is out there. Are you willing to seek? Are you willing to scratch?
No, it's too much.
I do have a spot on my back though.
Maybe a monkey.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so many people are just so easily just, take the mainstream version of things.
What's the common consensus? What does everybody else think? I don't want to ruffle any feathers, so I'll just go with the flow.
Yeah, and it's always hard for someone to, be different from everyone else. Oh, you're different. You're this, you're that. It's, you got to start somewhere though.
Yeah. You definitely do. So highly encourage you guys to check out those Genesis verses, those commentaries. in Genesis, and as well check out our pictures on our Facebook page. And I mean, they're all over the net. I mean, just look up Daniel 9 and look at the different views, the timelines, and which one makes sense to you. I mean, it clearly states that what's interesting about that whole prophecy. It says that at the end of these 70 weeks, that's how much time is determined for the Jewish people. I mean, God clearly states that, and so if it makes sense. Obviously, if you're going to have this idea that Israel is God's chosen nation still in all this, you're going to have to prolong that, because if the 70 weeks are done with, then the time for those people are pretty much set aside. They have to.
It's already done, come and gone.
It's come and gone. But so that may explain why they throw it all in the future. Keep us looking towards the future and not towards the past, which is
everything's happening right now.
Yeah.
Coming on to a break here.
Rapture me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Coming on to a break here at Truth Exposed. Stay tuned.
Why do Americans order extra large portions of food when smaller servings would suffice? I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and in a moment I'll share an interesting new study that may shed some light on the psychology of overeating.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This public service announcement is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Food is one of life's great pleasures, but too much can lead to a host of problems like heart disease and diabetes. So why do Americans keep opting for enormous food portions? Northwestern University researchers think it has to do with class consciousness. Like cars and TVs, Americans equate larger food portions with higher social status. People told researchers that drinking a large coffee meant someone was probably wealthier than someone else drinking a small size, even when the price was the same. So it follows that people who are feeling poor may try to compensate with bigger portions. Sure enough, in experiments, lower-income folks were more likely to go for gutbuster sizes. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. More news and information at CatherineAlbrecht.com.
Chemtrails. You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at LogosRadioNetwork.com.
We are back live. This is Dispensationalists Exposed. Truth Exposed Radio here on the Logos Radio Network. Zionism Exposed.
It's a lot to cover. I mean, we have the theological aspect of things, the historical.
Doesn't the dispensationalism and the Zionism just really work hand in hand?
Yeah, they really do. I mean, the father of dispensationalism, John Nelson Darby, I mean, he was born in 1800, died in 1882. He was, Bible preacher, and he's considered the father of modern dispensationalism and futurism. After that Jesuit priest that came up with the theory, in the 1500s, it took a couple hundred years before they managed to get the Protestant churches to start to adopt it.
Nelson from?
He was Anglo-Irish. He started the Plymouth Brethren, basically England. He went to Westminster School of Abbey, right? And he came up with a set of notes, old school notes that. And I guess belief systems that basically looks at God's relation with man as occurring through different eras and God having different promises with different people. And he really introduced the whole idea of these, Abrahamic promises applying to the Israelites of today, or anybody that may claim to be an Israelite today, or the Jews of today,
Quote,
when the New Testament, again, we read what the New Testament said, it has nothing to do with the bloodlines anymore. So this guy was really influential in England. And he was initially, I think he even had some connections with the Catholic Church. Interestingly enough,
you don't say.
Yeah, right. But I don't remember exactly what the connection was there. I know that he had some connections with some bishops, but it may have been the Church of Ireland or the Church of England that it was more relating to. But nonetheless, he highly influential upon Cyrus Scofield, who was who's infamous for bringing this Darbyism, this dispensationalism to America from Oxford, Westminster, from England to
Texas.
Yeah.
Howdy doody. There's Al-Qaeda right there. That's your Al-Qaeda. It is.
So, and really focusing on, again, these promises being fulfilled physically. Now, what's really interesting is that 1800s, right, is when 1890s, right, and in that era is when the whole World Zionist Federation was kicked off.
So this is even before the Israel state.
Slightly before. Oh, yeah, very much before.
Way before the state. So the Zionism has existed well before the state is even.
Well, yeah, the political ideology and the goals were getting put in place about that time.
Yeah, definitely.
And right, and
coming public.
Right. And for an organization to start off, the World Zionist Federation, all of a sudden
it's already world. It's already the world.
It's already the world. It's probably already been.
It didn't even started off as the community.
Yeah, exactly. In construction or in the growth process, right? For quite some time before that.
Shows you they already got money.
Not just out of the blue, right? I mean, not just out of the blue. I mean, everything has precedence. So
even the Schofield, when he started, right when he started in Texas, he had a whole bunch of quote, Jewish financial backers, and he had millions of dollars to promote his
oh, did he now?
Yeah, and what was his little, commentary Bible, or however you want to say it,
right.
So it was falsely, propped up. It wasn't grassroots. People just found this as truth and just were like, yes.
Right.
This was just promoted. And,
I mean, I find it very hard to believe that, again, a single volume commentary with little notes here and there, and then just, whole full page notes on just particular verses pertaining to Israel and the Jews, and that's about it. I don't know how that could overcome,
all of a sudden some great magnificent thing. Yeah, exactly. It's like someone who has four songs in their repertoire, and all of a sudden they're on the radio, versus someone who has 3 or 4 albums, and then you see their progression and you see how their talent, and you're like, oh, someone found them out. It wasn't like all of a sudden they're just there and they're seen as great. It's just like anything else with clothing or anything that's on TV.
They're not Milli Vanilli.
Yeah,
the mainstream isn't always, and most often than not, isn't anywhere near the best.
It's
yeah. I mean, I guess that applies for everything else.
It's subsidized.
Yeah, except for the church, right? We would like to believe that somehow the church could not fall privy to such things, fall victim to such shenanigans. But
501c3.
Yep.
That may be part of it. And then when we consider the Balfour Declaration, 1914, I believe. That's just a couple years after the Schofield Bible was printed for the first time, 1909. So you have a lot of things kicking up, and it was Oxford English, right? It was England that was printing his Bible. First time England had printed an American Bible here in America. So it's, come on, British Israelism. I mean, we see it all tying in here. I mean, it's not that hard to see. Obviously the Allied powers were the ones that created the Middle East to begin with, and had that plan for quite some time. Again, World War I didn't happen out of the blue. I mean.
No, it was a spur of events
opportunity
that finally culminated to a grand event that took place.
Right.
And it's all backed by who? Some
financial backers.
Yeah, some Zionist bankers. Some Rothschilds.
Yeah,
all of them. I mean, all of them. You follow the money. You know how the saying goes: follow the money.
Originally followed the shekel, I think.
Yeah, the shekel.
So you got Cyrus Schofield, and then all of a sudden you have different denominations in the U.S. falling prey to the dispensationalism. Historically they were historicist in their interpretation, and you have
Herzl. Was he later,
or Theodore Herzl was the founder of the World Zionist Federation? But
yeah, he had a book. I guess he wrote a book about the state of the Jews or whatever that really helped promote the whole agenda. I can't remember what year that was, but there's all these players, helping with the propaganda and the push, for this state versus the people who actually follow the word. And it's really working, hand in hand with the Zionism and dispensationalists.
So I mean, it took some time before the different denominations fell to dispensationalism, because after being historically Protestant for so long. The Falwells and the Criswells, and bringing it into the Baptist community. And now you go to every single Baptist church and it's going to be dispensationalist. I mean, you're hard pressed to find one that isn't. No one's preaching from the old commentaries anymore. All the theological seminaries, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, the Dallas Theological Seminary, Moody Theological Seminary, they're all pretty much been dispensationalists for quite some time now. So, like the domino effect, one by one, denominations were falling to dispensationalism and
falling to Rome.
And it's no surprise that why, or at least no surprise both why and the causes of such falter in theology, because I mean, the Middle East is on fire now, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it really is. I mean, with all the rebels that we're funding, with all the subversive groups that we're funding, all the destabilization that we're causing over there through the military, through these foreign entanglements, we're setting the Middle East ablaze. And that is a tenet of dispensationalism, that the idea that the Middle East is supposed to go up in flames in order to have the rapture take place. It's no surprise why we have John Hagee calling for a preemptive
strike on Iran.
That's not very Christian of him.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's not even just war theory, which is also a bunch of crock. I mean,
just war.
Yeah, I mean,
that's an oxymoron.
The only just war is to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, the just war theory and what was it, Augustus and
what's the just war theory? Strike
Augustine.
before you get struck, or something.
Strike before you are stricken.
Yeah.
No, but it was just war theory was a theological argument for war, which, I mean, from the Christian perspective, I mean, we're called to be pacifists, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, from a Christian standpoint, doesn't mean we're going to stone somebody because they decided to defend themselves, right? I mean, we're not supposed to stone people anyway. So. We're really going to wrap up what we've been getting into, this information. We're coming on our last segment. Pretty much wrap up Council on National Policy. Maybe you haven't heard of them. And we'll see where all this might be leading, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely stay tuned here at Truth Exposed Radio.
Easy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio, right here on the Logos Radio Network. It is January 6, 2016, if you didn't know it. Marshall Soul, along with my buddies here.
Cuddy Rowe.
Rick Rody.
And we're getting into the various topics when it comes to Catholicism and Zionism and the Protestant beliefs and researching the John Nelson Darby.
Hey, what's all going on with the Middle East today? I mean, we're really discovering why everything's happening. Yeah, where it's going. I mean, you can totally tell if you just look at some of the pages in history. I mean, it starts to become very clear this is a plan. Oh, yeah, but this is a plan. I mean, from hundreds of years they've been planning this.
And you see it coming to fruition. I mean, if you just look back on all the various things that have taken place, it's finally coming to with what's taking place in the Middle East. It's being set ablaze for the so-called, the 70 weeks that were thrown in the future.
Yeah, the 7 years of tribulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the covenant's going to be broken with Israel, and once they have their rebuilt temple, which none of this makes sense when you really look at the scriptures behind it all, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, again, highly encourage some thorough study on all these points. They're taking scriptures and applying them in very distorted political ways and
very peculiar.
Yeah, they're definitely using it to get people to act on future events. I mean,
get it by their feels.
Yeah. And what's sad, what's really sad is when you think about, okay, I mean, you consider the DOD, Department of Defense, and all the soldiers involved, right, in the Pentagon and everything in the military, and when they're preachers, right, all the preaching they get is from this perspective, from this one perspective. They're not getting any of the Protestant, they're not getting any of the old Orthodox perspectives. They're just getting straight up modern evangelicalism, modern
praise Israel.
Yep,
praise Israel. Yeah, I don't know about that Jesus guy. But
praise Israel.
Praise Israel.
Blind following of it.
Yeah. You can't even, and it's silly to think that, and then you can't even be a Christian and be a part of Israel. Like, what are you?
But we love our Israel.
But yeah.
Oh, you're saying the so-called Israel.
The state.
Yeah.
The state of Israel. No, you can't become a citizen unless you're.
And it's so similar.
Judaism.
It's so similar to the Islamic State.
Which according to Paul,
why haven't they attacked Israel?
Yeah, right. Which according to Paul, right, the true Judaism would be this circumcision of the heart, having repented before God through Christ.
Well, we can't do that now,
as we read that. So, yeah, I mean,
we're gonna be hard-headed. Hard-head make a soft. You know what?
So it's really that the mixture of Daniel 9, the 70 weeks, and the mixture of the perversion of the prophecy, the promises in Genesis, and a complete negation of what Christ talked about and what Paul talked about. And don't mind, Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, where it says, "I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet,
he
to know that
like
I have loved thee."
anti-Semite.
So, wow.
He's an anti-Semite.
Well, he's saying that these guys aren't really even Jews, right? So, I mean, as we read Paul state, I mean, it's not a Jew outwardly. It's not the flesh of Abraham. Don't reason within yourselves and say, well, we're the flesh of Abraham, because God can raise up stones. It's about following the ways of Abraham, following God, right?
And so it's just really peculiar to me to why these writers of these Schofield Bibles and the other state of the Jews or whatever, why they thought, I don't even believe it's a real legitimate thought. They said, we had to create the state of Israel because Jews were getting persecuted everywhere, some
of the justifications for a Jewish state, right?
And it just doesn't add up. Like, why would you think it just?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of making the claim. I read that in the letter too. It was Jews against Judaism. Jews. I mean,
why are they getting persecuted, kicked out of every
Jews against Zionism?
Every country? Why are they getting? I mean, hundreds of countries. I mean, I don't know hundreds, but I mean, about 30 or 40 countries or 50 countries or something. I mean, a lot.
Yeah, they were banned out of a lot of countries, but Germany was one of them, the one that took them in, and that's why there was a lot of blowback whenever in World War II.
Well, also Ashkenazis are Eastern German Jews, so I mean, there would be a lot of Jews in that area. I mean, it's just really convoluted. And then
didn't Hitler? What did Hitler say about they can't coexist with everybody, right?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, when you consider some of the writings that Jews themselves have written against Zionism, they basically make the argument that Zionism promotes anti-Semitism. Because anti-Semites believe that Jews can't cohabit, like all these, like y'all were saying, all these countries that kick the Jews out of their country, it's looked at as anti-Semite, right? Yeah. That's pretty anti-Semite. Why would you kick the Jews out, right? Yeah. Yet Zionists are making the same exact claim. They're saying Jews shouldn't be amongst other, the Goy, the Gentiles. They need their own area. They need their own secluded area where it's just them, because they can't cohabitat. They can't coexist with the rest of society. I mean, it may be from a different side of the perspective, but it's still the same argument.
It's still the pot calling the kettle black.
It's still the same argument. Yeah, I mean, they're promoting
racism.
They're promoting the idea that there can't be any coexistence here.
They're too good to share the same spot.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the things written in the Talmud and whatnot. I mean, you would see why people would think that. I mean, if the Jews actually adhered by that, but I mean, nowadays they don't. I mean, not mainstream. I mean, you don't see
adhere to what exactly?
Well, like
the Talmud.
All the crazy things that are said in the Talmud, like
they don't adhere to it.
Yeah, not that I know of. I mean,
he's talking about your common average Jew.
They don't. I mean, they're not messing with 3-year-olds, and weird sacrificing stuff. Not all. I mean,
but
not the ones I know.
Well, yeah, but I guess. I mean, but admittedly, they. I mean, of course, it's a whole big litany of volumes.
Yeah, it's like 20 something.
It's like, or something. And like most religious folk, we're not really educated on their own literature.
Yeah.
But I'm sure. I mean, Orthodox Jews constantly have to read the Talmud, and even Reformed and more progressive liberal Jews are definitely reading up on the Talmud and everything. So it's just crazy to have all this teaming up like this, the situation that we're finding ourselves in. Because when we consider, again, the military and how much they get dispensationalism shoved down their throat.
Rise up on the hill, hoorah!
Yeah. And I mean, it's just we wouldn't have all this justification. We wouldn't have the Christian church agreeing with endless war in the Middle East, preemptive war, mind you, not even self-defense war, preemptive war, to bring about the end times. I mean, so look up the Council of National Policy. Tim LaHaye, the guy that wrote the Left Behind series, he started the Council of National Policy, a lobbying group, just like AIPAC and KUFA and all these different KUFI or Christians United for Israel. All these different lobbying groups. There's dozens.
Wrong Israel, bro.
There's dozens and dozens of lobbying groups, ladies and gentlemen, that are lobbying politicians on behalf of promoting particular theological interpretations. That should be extremely disturbing to you as an American. Extremely disturbing, even if it is your particular faith. As an evangelical, it's un-American of you to push your particular faith that you have refused to test with the faith of others.
You're forcing it on to others and forcing them to pay for it.
My conservatism.
Yeah, you're not supposed to steal from people in order to give it to other people because they're somehow more chosen than others.
But we give it to charity.
Yeah.
Try to rob a bank and give the money, half the money to charity and see if that's cool. No, but the government can do it.
Yeah, they can do it.
They can do it. See, reality doesn't apply to government. There are Almighty God. They're above the laws of nature and reality and of God.
Romans 13.
Yeah.
Another set of verses that are highly misunderstood.
Misconstrued, warped.
Give the
for
property,
political means.
it's really about the property of, Caesar or whatever, give him his property. Don't use.
Yield unto Caesar.
I mean, if you're going to.
Well, and it's not our job. I mean, it's all Romans 13 is talking about. It's not our job as Christians to overthrow and take control of government. Right? That's not something that we should be worried about at all. That's all it's stating.
And that's, a lot of people are always looking for the solution, right? And it's not taking over the institutions of government, to fix everything. It's
abolishing them.
It's creating alternatives. I mean, really.
Oh yeah. So check out Council on National Policy, CUFI, AIPAC. I mean, those are just the big names. But they're affecting policy, ladies and gentlemen. They're pushing a theological paradigm, theological propaganda, and you got presidents from these nations coming over and quoting scripture to us. I
bet they're pro the Greater Israel Project.
Oh, definitely.
Well, that's the whole purpose, right? That's the whole purpose of everything is
Tigris the Euphrates.
Yeah. So, and with Saudi Arabia kind of like coming under a lot of stress because their whole industry is being pulled underneath them. Their whole oil industry. I could see parts of the Sauds, Saudi Arabia going over to Israel.
Oh, they're buddies. I mean,
they were set up like that to begin with,
Yeah.
Whenever Middle East is partitioned, the British set them as like, hold this land for a little while.
There's footage
while we do some other things, then we're gonna come take it back.
There's Netanyahu hanging out with a lot of the,
Well, yeah, they're good friends. I promise you that.
The Saudi royalty.
They don't have any beef.
I'm sure the Bushes aren't the only ones holding hands with the Saudis.
No, definitely not. It's a kumbaya, sitting around the Zionist campfire.
What are you wearing under that robe?
So that's about all we got for today, ladies and gentlemen. Do encourage you guys to check out the information we're spitting, and stick around next week because we're going to break down the history of the Zionist movement as a political movement in history. So
watch out! Hopefully we'll make it on the air.
Yeah, right. Do got the crypto show coming up next. Do appreciate you guys supporting Logos Radio Network. Check out the website, LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Check out the fundraiser.
Yeah,